Hey everyone, and in this video today we're going to talk about my apprenticeship so far. I've only been in apprenticeship 6 months, but there's a lot to tell in that 6 months. So without further ado, let's get going. Right, so as you can tell, tattoo apprentice over here, and from what I've already said, I've been one for about 6 months. So started my apprenticeship back in February, did actually get the position the way in the door back in January actually, but because I went through a knee operation shortly after that, I was out of action for a few weeks. And given that our studio is up a flight of stairs, I couldn't make it down to actually, make it up to the studio. And not being able to drive was a massive one down there because it is a bit of a distance away from my house. But anyway, it was rather an easy job to get in to the studio. Not going to say it was hard. I really was in a privileged situation because I dropped them a message on Facebook, where some people like to call it face ache for obvious reasons. So I dropped them a message on Facebook. So there was no formal meeting before that. It was just literally, I got myself to the point, because I was self-taught up until that point, that I needed to get into a studio to make my tattoo journey work and to make myself grow. So at that point in time, I even messaged a studio that was a good 60 miles away from my front door, because I really wanted this, but that will be explained in a future video of where my journey began and where the passion came from. So this one was, I messaged about 15 different studios and I landed on this one. And the shop owner, I'm going to mention his name at the moment, but the shop owner, ex-tattoo artist, because of health reasons he can't get up the stairs anymore anyways, but he's still the shop owner. He messaged me back saying, send over your portfolio, which I did. And we arranged, and then as anything, I was asked for sort of like interviews, sort of get together, sort of inviting out for breakfast sort of thing in the local town where it is. And before you know it, I'm putting together my portfolio, went in there. It was a really sort of informal experience, but at the same time formal. It wasn't like any ordinary job interview. It was a very laid back chat. Well, they looked over my portfolio, had a bite to eat together, had a brew. As you know, we're British, cup of tea is life, and that is life. And that's probably why I get along with them so well as well, because they think tea is life, which is awesome. And yeah, it was, no formal word was said that I got in. At the end of the chat, it was sort of, the shop owner was like, well, do you want to take these guys' numbers? Because there's 2 artists at the studio. And it was just like, wow, I've done it. I've actually done it. Stressing, talking to a couple of artists up until that point in time. Oh, I don't know if I've got this. I don't know if I've got that. And it was over the moon. It didn't really sink in until I think about 2 days after, when it was just like, wow, I've got this. But then I had to deal with my knee. going into hospital for my knee a week later, so it really didn't sink in till I actually started in February, when the learning started. Because at the end of that meet that we had, the words that were says, trust works both ways, and I wasn't to pick up another machine until they think I was ready. So yeah, it was just generally just earning their trust, pretty much. The first few weeks was, because I will reiterate this, I'm only down, well, explain this now. I hold down a full-time job, so I'm only doing this part-time. So a part-time apprenticeship, going on the basis that I've got to pretty much reteach myself in a part-time place, not doing anything at home, was really difficult. So the anticipation and the drive was there to get going straight away, which fully understand why they did it, but they were to hold me back and just start from the bases up, like studio etiquette, facing people, all the legislation, rules, and health and hygiene that goes with tattooing, because obviously you're dealing with open wounds and you're putting in something into someone's body, which is paramount, and it's paramount, which is a good thing from where I've got a position that the shop owner got into tattooing, but he was an army medic beforehand. So all these different, bloodborne pathogens and infection side of things and everything, he is very, very clued up on this. And I will say, every single question that I have asked him, and we've got a quite close relationship, closer now than we were at the beginning, but I will explain that in a minute. Every question that I've asked, he's answered, and he is very informative. I mean, one thing that I've taken more the latter stages of these 6 months is the actual science behind the tattooing. And tell you what, it is mind-blowing what you can find out if you put your mind to it and actually want to learn. But we'll get to that in a second. The first few weeks was a bit of a wake-up call. It was sort of like, right, slow down, take your time, work on your work. And it was sort of an internal struggle with the shop, to be quite honest with you, because you got my main mentor, who's the manager, and the other guy, who is another mentor as such, but the other artist in the studio. But he was pushing me down the road that I was already going, whilst the manager was sort of trying to get me on the right path, so I wouldn't do anything that I later regret or put anybody in any potential health risks or anything like that, or my reputation, which was kind of good. Kind of a mental turmoil at that given moment in time, because I was just like, no, I need to do this now. We had a bit of a shop meeting, and it was just like, no, this is what's happening. You're learning this in this order, and you will not hold a machine for at least 6 months minimum in the shop. So it was a bit of a hard pill to swallow, I must admit, but I'm thankful now in this position that they have done what they've done. And it's not without its turmoils. I'm not saying it's been easy, because quite simply for the fact of financial issues and everything, because as many of you know, it's the unwritten rule, tattoo apprenticeships aren't paid. And that sucks. It really sucks. You're giving up all your free time. Sorry, drop something. All your free time for, you're making it a labour of love, is all you're making it. And it has been hard with family life and everything else. Burning the candle at both ends and just trying to struggle to battle through this to get where you need to be. But as I said, I get to the bit that's in the latter part of this 6 months. I was ready to throw in the towel, and I've openly admitted this to my manager and the shop owner. Ready to throw in the towel, and I was ready to just like, no, this isn't for me anymore. Even though I really want to do it, this isn't for me. But had a call with the shop owner, my shop owner, the shop owner, as it were, and he pretty much just turned around to me and said, these first 6 months was pretty much a test. It was a test of endurance. It was the test of durability of you. Teaching you these things, teaching the hygiene, teaching the cleaning, the autoclaves, everything like that. It was pretty much a test. And you've invested yourself in us. And now we want to invest in you. So we are going to cover not all the expenses, he says, but pretty much every expense that could be imagined whilst being there are covered. So in effect, I'm getting paid for being there. So in essence, I've leveled up. I've obviously earned that trust. There's obviously plans that they have for me moving on. One being that's coming up in the winter months, I think, well, maybe not the winter month, September, I think the date was thrown around, that I'm building my own coil machines, which is a fantastic opportunity. And I'm learning from someone that's been in the industry for 40 years. So I'm really looking forward to that, like more than anything. So that will be a further level up. So the trust is now there. It's been, as I said, been a rocky road mentally. And I don't want to spoil too many things of what to expect in a tattoo apprenticeship. There's a lot of cleaning and a lot of learning of legislation and rules and unwritten rules as well. It's been an experience, really has been an experience. But this 6 months has just been getting me to the stage and letting them know that I'm committed and won't be doing anything that I shouldn't be doing. Which at the end of the day, this industry is built on trust, not just from the artists, between artists in shops. It's built between the trust of the artist and the client as well. There's a lot of trust coming from the client because you're permanently inking them. That's the main thing. You're giving them something that's going to be there for life. And so that's what I've taken away from this 6 months. It's just built a lot on trust. And if you can get over your own preconceptions and notions of how this should be, then it will pay dividends. I mean, it's got to a point now that I'm actually being asked for opinions and asked for this, asked for that. I'm being part of shop decisions, which is absolutely amazing. This is, as I said, everything I ever hoped for. But we won't get into that today. We'll get into a later video because, as I said before on the other video, lots planned. But yeah, so first 6 months, difficult, very difficult. wouldn't say it's got massively easy, probably about 20% easier, but it's getting there. And that's the main thing. That's the main thing. It is this talk about me tattooing stuff in the shop, be it fake skin or fruit or anything like that. It's just like this talk now. There is actually talk about it. And I have proved myself as a person and a artist, building up my portfolio and drawing a lot in my free time, just to prove to them that I've got this. So, and I will continue to do that. So sorry if this has been a bit of a long-winded one. Had to give you an in-depth analysis of this 6 months. As I said, not been easy. Just a lot of repetition. But the real interesting part that I've learned is the science side of things and just asking questions, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. And it's even become more interesting to me than just drawing on people for a living. That's the main thing. But it's fun nonetheless. It really is fun, and I wouldn't change it for the world. So thank you very much if you stuck around this far, and don't forget, hit that like button if you liked what you heard today and liked what I had to say, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell as well, so you get notified every single time I do a video. And until then, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video.